I'd like to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker, I've had the pleasure of hearing her speak a couple of times. She's absolutely fantastic. Her name is Bianca Ali, and she is being one of the campaigners for Black Lives Matter Cardiff. And she's going to share what's been going on there and why the issue of Black Lives Matter is so important.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Yes, so unfortunately in Cardiff, or in Wales, in the last 2 months, we've had 2 murders by South Wales Police and Gwent Police. The first being Mahmoud Hassan. For those that don't know, he was taken into custody on the 8th of January following a police disturbance at his address. When the police arrived, they emptied the house, leaving just Mahmoud inside. 20 police officers went inside. A neighbour heard a huge commotion whilst they were there. There was a witness to say that they seen Mahmoud being pulled out of the property in a chicken hold, and that is with his hands cuffed behind his back as well as his ankles. Whilst they was doing this, they were also punching him in the ribs. They threw him into the van. While he was in the back of the van, he asked for medical assistance. He complained of a head injury. This was ignored. The officer who ignored these complaints also failed to let the custody sergeant know when they got to custody. That officer in question has now been put under further investigation by the IOPC. There's been numerous amounts of misconduct within this investigation, as well as the actual incident. On the 9th of January, Mahmoud left police custody. He went home to his address via a taxi because he was too exhausted and too beaten and bruised to walk home. When he got to his property, he said to a friend, excuse my language, but this is a quote, fam, the police just beat the shit out of me. When he went into his property, his friend begged him to get some medical attention. He said, I'm absolutely exhausted. I just want to go to sleep. I will wake up and I will go to the hospital. He went to sleep and he never woke up. Whilst his friend called for an ambulance, the first people in attendance was actually one paramedic on a push bike. I've never heard of that for a phone call for somebody that's unresponsive, somebody with no pulse. That is unheard of. So that in itself is just crazy. And then followed two more paramedics in an ambulance. They removed him from his bedroom into the kitchen, laid him on the floor and left him there for something like 12 hours and didn't let his family go into the property and view the body. There's been a number of high concerns when this investigation is concerned. We have begged and pleaded and put petitions through for transparency and the footage to be released. If not to the public, then at least to the solicitors and the representatives of the family. This, is, of course, has not happened. A recent statement released by the IOPC actually stated that there was an issue with the footage. So that is of huge concern once again. I myself, my personal opinion, don't believe that there would be any body cam footage. I thoroughly believe that South Wales Police knew what and knew what they intended to do when they attended that property. I don't believe they would have turned their cameras on. So I think that is the issue there. Today, we've had news that 4 more officers have been put under further investigation and being served Regulation 17 notices stating misconduct and false entries to a custody diary. So these 4 officers in question, we are now calling for their immediate suspension. We are also calling for the immediate resignation of Chief Constable Jeremy Vaughan. due to the statement that he first released, stating that South Wales Police had nothing to do with Mahmoud's death or any injuries that Mahmoud had sustained. So, yeah, we're calling for the resignation of the Chief Constable and the suspension of 5 officers that are now under further investigation. The number of police officers that are involved within this investigation is highly concerning. If you don't know, there are 52 officers involved. That is 20 that attended the property and a further 32 within the custody suite. I know a number of people that have been locked up previously, and I can tell you that they have never encountered 52 police officers in their time at a custody suite. This is unheard of. So what on earth were these 52 police officers doing? Mahmoud, when he left the station, was covered in blood. He was battered and bruised, and this is clarified by a number of witnesses. In regards to the other young man that's lost his life, his name is Moya Bashir. He's from Newport. His family called for a mental health crisis at his property. They just wanted him assisted to a mental health facility where he could get further help. 9 police officers attended his property, which of course is completely unnecessary for a mental health crisis. Moyad lost his life in his bedroom whilst being handcuffed, once again with his hands and with his ankles, face down on his bedroom floor. His last words were, "Don't cry, Mama," while his parents watched his last breath being taken from him at the hands of Gwent police. We are now at a time where, unfortunately, we've lost the life of a young woman, Sarah Everand, at the hands of a police officer. So now we have to question these police establishments as to, you say that you cannot be guilty of murder, but now we have an officer being charged of murder. So what now? How can you say that you have no blood on your hands when it's been proven that you have blood on your hands? As an organization, as an establishment, you have blood on your hands. This is clear. So now we're fighting for justice and transparency for all of these officers involved in both of these cases to not only be suspended, but to be prosecuted the same as any other ordinary citizen would be. If I was to be accused of murder right now, I would not be behind a desk taken off, duty of, wherever they call it, when they're on their roads and they're in the cars and all the rest of it. I wouldn't be behind desk duty as a punishment. I wouldn't be suspended from my job. I would be in prison on remand, the same as any other person. So why are these police officers not on remand? This is what we need to be asking these establishments. It's absolutely insane. And to see the hurt and the heartbreak that these families had to endure at the hands of the people that are supposed to protect and serve is just absolutely astonishing. This is historic. Is not only historic within South Wales Police, but historic within the police as an institution. They were built to oppress the working class and black and brown people and nothing more. We need to get rid of them. BLM Cardiff, we are fully for defunding, eventually leading to full abolishment of the police and all the systems. We need complete system change right now. We need defunding of the police right now and more money into mental health services to help these people that need this help. We don't need the police. They're not there for us. They're there for them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bianca, in solidarity to you and all the work that you've been doing with BLM Cardiff, because it hasn't been mainstream news. And I know that you guys have definitely struggled with your protest, but it's so important to hear. I mean, those absolute shocking details is really important that we get that message out. So thank you so much for joining us.